All right, hi everyone, good morning. My name is Diane Castellera Munoz, and I use she, her pronouns. I am the program coordinator for Undocumented Student Services here at UCSD. And I'm really happy to be here with you all to talk about undocumented students and their experiences in higher education. And I also am joined by our two interns, Dahlia and Hocin, who after I present a little bit of information about the undocumented population will be sharing a little bit about their experiences, and we'll give them an opportunity to have a discussion with you all if you have any questions. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So to begin, I would like to talk a little bit about the terminology around the undocumented population, because undocumented folks identify as many different things. So you might have heard some of these terminologies, but not been really aware of what that means or why they identify differently. So I want to explain a little bit about that. And I also want to talk about terminology that can be hurtful and can sometimes be negative when speaking about the undocumented community, which is the word illegal. Unfortunately, this word is sometimes used when describing the undocumented population in television or politics. And it's a word that's very dehumanizing, and we try to inform our allies to not use and instead use some of the terms that we will share with you in a few seconds. So the first word that I keep mentioning myself is undocumented. So undocumented is essentially, it means anyone who does not have legal status here in the United States. So folks may say I'm undocumented, and that essentially means that. We also have the term that means dreamers. So dreamers is a term that came out of the DREAM Act. When the DREAM Act was being fought for, and it continues to be fought for, they always talk about dreamers. And they're talking about undocumented youth majority of the time, because there's a specific age group that would identify as dreamers, because they would be the individuals who would benefit from the DREAM Act if it does pass one day. So some young undocumented youth identify as dreamers. And then we have the word documented. And someone that's documented is essentially anyone who is currently benefiting from the executive order that Barack Obama announced in 2012, which is a program that allows undocumented youth who meet a certain set of requirements to have a work permit and relief from deportation. So individuals that benefit from this program consider themselves documented. And then we also have children of undocumented immigrants. So individuals who were born here in the US, but their parents themselves are undocumented. So those are children of undocumented immigrants. And then we have undocu allies. And that's what we hope that you all become today after this presentation. And I think it's important to note that when we say undocu ally, we don't mean someone that just only supports undocumented students, but the undocumented population in its entirety, right? Undocumented parents, undocumented workers, older individuals who have been undocumented or are currently still undocumented. So that's what we consider a true ally, is someone that supports immigrants' rights and doesn't just support just the student itself. And feel free to use the chat if you have any questions about anything that I share. I'm okay with stopping. I do want to talk a little bit more about DACA, because I think when we talk about undocumented individuals, when we hear DACA, we have different conceptions of what the program is and what the students qualify for, what people qualify for. So documented students do not qualify for FAFSA. So they don't qualify for any type of federal financial aid, such as FAFSA, loans, Pell Grants, or work study. So that's really important to know. In the state of California, undocumented students with or without DACA do qualify for state tuition if they meet a set of requirements, and also they can receive California state aid if they, again, meet a set of requirements. So our state does have some benefits, but overall, documented students do not qualify for any type of federal money. And then I also think it's important to know that DACA is not the DREAM Act. A lot of the times people think that DACA is the DREAM Act, and the biggest difference between DACA and the DREAM Act is that the DREAM Act has a pathway to citizenship. It's never passed. It's been debated many, many times. But that's the biggest thing, because DACA is a two-year benefit that individuals have to continue reapply every 2 years for. So the DREAM Act would be essentially something that they could have and then one day apply for citizenship or residency. And again, it's not permanent residency, it's not a green card, and there's no pathway to citizenship or residency. So I think that's important to know. Okay, now I'm gonna share with you a little bit of context of demographics of undocumented folks. This is information and data that was gathered in 2015. It probably has changed a bit after the pandemic and things like that, but this is just some context that we can learn about. So there's about 11 million documented residents currently in the US. Of those 11 million, about 1 to 2 million are dreamers. So again, undocumented youth. Of those, 65,000 a year graduate from high school. And we estimate that about 200 to 225 are currently enrolled in college. So it's really important to know, because our undocumented students are in college, they need our support. They face very many different challenges. And I think it's important as individuals who not only are in education, but all walks of life, to learn about the population so we can best support them. Okay, and then now I want to talk a little bit about the undocumented experience grounded in policy. So I shared a little bit about DACA and different policies like that, but at UCSD, at the Undocumented Student Services Center, we really try to focus on serving the undocumented student and realizing that different policies in the national level, in the state level, and also in the institution itself impact the student very differently, right? We might have a student who has DACA, which is a national policy, so they have the right to work. But then they just recently moved to California, so they don't qualify for any type of state aid or in-state tuition. So then they have to pay for out-of-state tuition, and we have to help them navigate that. And then there's also certain policies at UCSD that they might not benefit from. So every time we work with an undocumented student, we have to really see all the layers of policies that impact them on a day-to-day basis. And obviously, not only is their undocumented status impacting them, but also the other intersectional identities that they identify as, right? So their race, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, their gender, their class, their ability, all of those things are also impacting them and the way they navigate through higher education, but also in their day-to-day lives. So we really try to understand our student in a holistic way, in the policy side, but also in their identities that they're part of. And I want to speak a little bit about what we do at Undocumented Student Services. Again, we try to support our students in a holistic way. So we try to support them in many different aspects, not only here currently for their success at UCSD, but their success after they graduate. So we do provide legal services for our students, free of charge. We have an immigration attorney who's part of our team, and he meets with our students and he tries to find a way that can possibly fix their status if it's something that he could do. And again, free of charge. He also expands his services to parents and siblings of the student, again, free of charge, which is incredible. So a lot of our students have been able to receive support, such as applying for DACA, or once they get married or are able to fix their status in different ways, our immigration attorney is able to support them. We also have the Yes Food program. So at UCSD, there's the CalFresh, which unfortunately our undocumented students are not able to qualify for. So we created an alternative program, which is the Yes Food program, which allows them to receive a gift card for any student that is going through like food insecurity or having issues like buying their own groceries or food. We give them a gift card that they can use for any restaurant or grocery store of their choice. And then we have the equity grant, which allows our students who want to do professional development opportunities for grad school preparation and they can't afford those opportunities or those classes, we try to support them with that cost as much as we can. So it's really great because we know that a lot of our students don't have the funds to pay for, like these incredible opportunities that are going to develop their resumes or even help them go to grad school. So we try to just take that toll off of them, and hopefully they're able to obtain those opportunities. And then we have, like I mentioned, more professional development programs and opportunities. We have one specific program called the PACE program, which allows our students to do a learning opportunity with a campus unit or department, and they're able to get a mentor and just build a relationship with someone on campus, and also just see someone that understands that they're undocumented and is trying to support them in their success here at UCSD. And it's been a really great program, and it's been really great. I think the most powerful thing about that program is that students get to see that different areas on campus are supporting them and their status. And it's not just undocumented student services. And then we also have different workshops that we host from community members around campus or even outside of campus that do professional development workshops, talking about how to be a leader, how to have organizational skills, how to network. So we try to do different things that will hopefully teach our students how to be stronger professionals once they graduate from UCSD. And then if you're interested in any other programs that we have our link tree that always is promoting different things that we're offering, and it's right here. So feel free to save that if you have any students that you think would benefit, or any individuals that you know who are undocumented that would like to use our services. Okay, and obviously this presentation is about allyship. And I think it's important to leave you all with a few things that we've learned here at UCSD while working at Undoc, the things that work in the sense of building a relationship with our students who are undocumented. And I think also just anyone who's undocumented, I think this is great practices to follow. So my first advice is to start here. Make yourself visible as an undocumented ally. Don't be afraid of when you present at things, or when you have the opportunity to speak up about an opportunity. If you know something that could benefit an undocumented individual, let them know about it, or let individuals know, like, if you're undocumented and need support, please let me know. Your status is safe with me, and just know I'm an undocumented ally. Just simple things like that I think can be very powerful. Also, you can put simple things such as images around your offices that share immigrants' rights and things like that. I think those are the number one things I've noticed students will notice, like when you have a sign that is from an undocumented artist or something, and students will catch that. The second thing will be visit and get involved with organizations that support immigrants' rights. So obviously Undoc, we support immigrants' rights and we support undocumented students, but there's really great nonprofits and organizations within our communities that do really incredible work as well. And they always need more allies, more support, more individuals, especially individuals that are not undocumented and have that safety of speaking up for the undocumented community without the fear of deportation or things like that. So that's definitely a good place to start. And then in daily practices, do not force disclosure. A lot of the times, and I think this happens just, again, in higher education, because you're trying to help the student. Sometimes you want to know, are you undocumented or not? But it does take time for some students. A lot of students don't feel safe sharing their status because that can impact their parents' lives. It can impact their community's life. So you really need to take time to build that trust and be patient in the process of them sharing that with you. And also listen to their narrative. Every single undocumented individual, like anybody, right? They have their story, and it's very unique to them. Make sure to listen to them. Not every story is the same. And familiarize yourself with resources, right? There's really great resources on campus at UCSD, but also within our communities. If you hear about anything, try to see if you can learn more about it and share that with folks that you may know. And again, personalized services to undocumented and documented students and people. We have really great services at UCSD in every aspect, right? Jobs, but sometimes we don't personalize those services to undocumented folks, and then they themselves have to navigate through these things by themselves, and they become very lost. So it's really important to try to personalize those experiences or those services for them, so then that they don't have such a hard time reaching those services. Any questions so far? No, okay. And then just a few things that I want to leave you all to keep in mind is immigration is diverse. You know, if you just think about the way media represents immigration or undocumented folks, it's always the Latinx experience. And it's really important to know that immigrants come from all over the world. The undocumented experience is not only for one population. Many folks from all over the country can be undocumented, even from Europe, right? Even I've met individuals who are undocumented and from European countries, and they even say, like, people don't know that will assume that I'm undocumented because of the way I look. So just always remember, immigration is diverse. You can never assume. Critically review policies, right? Especially if you have the right to vote and you have the rights that undocumented folks don't have. Really critically review those policies that are coming into effect and think about that population, and really use your voice to, if you can, and support the undocumented community to advocate for them. Stay informed. A lot of the last 3 years, the undocumented, like DACA, for example, has been something that has been extremely attacked in politics. So it's really important to stay informed because policies are consistently changing, and those policies are impacting students on the day-to-day. So just stay informed so you can know that what's impacting this population. And then go beyond, right? Advocate for positive change and access on behalf of undocumented DACA students and people. Like I mentioned, if you have the privilege to stand up and have your voice heard without fear, definitely do so. I know the undocumented community has gone a long way because of allies, and I know they always appreciate more individuals speaking up with them. And yeah, I do want to leave you all with, if you're a part of UCSD and currently working at UCSD, we have a really incredible Undocu Ally training at the UC Learning website that you all can take. It's about an hour and a half. It's virtual. You can take it on your own pace. And yeah, it's really interactive. It gives you scenarios, and that way you can learn a little bit more and also practice some of these things that I've shared with you all today. But yeah, any questions or comments? Okay. Now we're going to move on to a Q&A. I have my incredible interns who work at Undoc with me, Dahlia and Hocin, and feel free to ask them any questions that you may have. Oh, and then you are asking for the training link. Yes, I'm currently sharing my screen, so I can drop it in a few seconds. Or once we're done, I'll drop it. No questions?
You just did such a good job.
Oh, thank you, Jose. I appreciate that. I guess I can ask you, Hocin and Dahlia, a few questions just to lead this discussion. Oh, okay. We have a question. So I see you have podcasts. Can you speak to those? Yes. So we have a media and marketing team that is 2 student interns as well. And there's a lot of topics that undocumented students have questions about or don't know how to navigate, such as how do you get your first job, right? How do you disclose to your employee safely that you're undocumented? So they will literally interview folks who are undocumented themselves or formerly were undocumented, and we'll ask them different discussion questions and just record it. That way students can hear from other folks with experiences and learn from them and hopefully obtain some advice. So we've done very many different topics. I think the recent one was actually about allyship, how to be a great ally for the undocumented community. The one that's next is how to go to grad school as an undocumented student and the different resources available. Yeah, it's really great. It's really great that the students are leading this work and they're able to reach out to the community members and share this great information to anyone that listens to the podcast.
I also know that the student interns that create the podcast, they really try to find people like from all kinds of diverse backgrounds to interview. So when you listen to the podcast, you'll hear about like all types of stories.
Totally. And yeah, just to have a discussion, I would love to hear about Dahlia, your experience, and Hocin, your experience of navigating higher ed, and anything that you wish you would have had or hope folks in the community know about.
Dahlia, do you want to start?
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is Dahlia. I'm actually a senior right now at UCSD, and I am a chemical engineer major, and I'm also a transfer. So I think in community college, I think there was a lack of support or lack of like awareness that like there were resources available. But when I transferred to UCSD, I realized that like we had a space, there were like more resources, which did help a lot. I was able to like actually have some relief in that area and then actually focus more on my major and just focus on like, okay, well, now I'm studying this. What am I going to do after I graduate? More like post-grad stuff rather than being so worried about like financial aid, like how am I going to pay for rent, all these things that, you know, affect the student outside of like academics. So for me, it has been like a very great experience. I'm very thankful for the resources, the space, for Danielle and Diane. Yes. Go ahead, Hocin.
Hi, I'm Hocin. I'm a second year poli-sci and communication major, also at UCSD. And I think what I find the most helpful from our USS program for like my experience personally is the fact that we have legal support. So we have like an immigration attorney that's free and you can like have confidential sessions with him as long as you're a student and you're registered. So I think when I was younger, my family was kind of used to just like figuring out like the whole immigration process, the legal stuff on our own. And I would do a lot of research with my parents just because like they don't speak English as well. And once I found USS and I realized that there are these resources open to me, it cleared everything up so much because I can just make an appointment with the attorney, Andres. He's really nice. And I can just like ask him all the questions that I want to ask. And he's just so knowledgeable on it. And I can just do that whenever. And it's just so much more helpful than just doing the research myself.
Totally. And I want to share a little bit about my experience. So I was undocumented when I was in higher ed myself, and I went to school in Utah, which is not a predominantly not so progressive state when it comes to policies and ways that they support undocumented students. And it is really great to see what an impact it makes when you do have resources on campus. We didn't have as many resources as UCSD, and you can see the impacts that it makes on students. Students drop out in a lot higher numbers. And at UCSD, it's great to see that there is support, and that attorney support is incredible, the immigration part, right? Because even applying for DACA is such a scary thing, because you don't want to, do something wrong and then get denied, and then you have nothing for 2 years when you had a work permit, right? So yeah, I'm great. I love that you also mentioned that, because it really does make a difference, and I see it on the day-to-day how much it benefits students. So thank you for sharing. So Claire is asking y'all, what advice would you give incoming students who are undocumented?
I'll go first, I guess. I would say ask away. I was like, for so long, like I just had this built in me that like you can't ask, or like don't say certain things, don't like talk about certain topics, because people, you never know where they stand. But what I've learned is just like, if you have a question and you don't know, just ask, because it takes so much longer, like Hocin was saying, like to do the research by yourself, and then you're lost and know which way to go. So I would say just ask, whether or not the person wants to respond or doesn't know the answer, that's okay. Like maybe they can reference you to somebody else, and you just go like that and work your way and try to find the answers you're looking for.
I totally agree. If you know someone who's an ally and you feel comfortable like sharing with them, you should just ask their questions to them about like whatever college that you want to go to. Because sometimes I manage the emails for undocumented student services sometimes, and we always get emails from incoming students who are like, oh, maybe I got into UCSD, but I want to know like where is it safe around UCSD if I'm just driving around, and like how far can I leave campus? And we always get emails like that. And there are even students who haven't gotten into UCSD and they're just researching the school, and they want to know what kind of services we give. And yeah, our program managers are always available for appointments to people who are incoming students who are interested in the program. So if you have like a college in mind and you aren't sure what kind of services they have, just maybe like search it up a little bit and like reach out to people that you know you can trust, like us.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing that. I would add, the only thing I would add to that is just in my experience, I would say don't give up. Like if one person doesn't give you the answer, the information that you're looking for, keep looking for it. You're gonna meet someone that finds the answer for you. For me, for example, I would go to people and they would just like not know how to help me. So I just kept looking and I finally found that one person that was like, oh, I know exactly what you need. And you will find that person. Don't give up on your goals in higher education because of your status. Don't let that stop you from achieving your academic goals. And that would be my only advice. Don't give up. Keep looking. Okay, Betty said, where can alumni interested in allyship learn more about the professional connection program you mentioned? Yeah, so you can email me. I'm putting my email in the chat. Like I mentioned, we have the PACE program, but there's actually a program that just launched with the California Commission's Office that's really similar to the PACE program, but they're allowing undocumented students to actually do learning opportunities outside of institutions, so at nonprofits, so at 501c3s. So if you work at one and are interested in supporting, I can definitely share more info about that if you email me. But there's always ways to collaborate with us. We've even invited folks who are in different professions to do like a panel discussing what they do on the day-to-day and how they can support undocumented students, or just meeting people, right? Networking is so powerful. So just networking with our students who are undocumented and maybe interested in the same field as you can make a great impact. Yes, no problem, Betty. Are there going are there ongoing events for families too, virtual or in person? Currently, we don't have any events for families, but we also don't have any events for students that are in person. We have a leadership series happening next quarter. Just because everything going on with COVID, we've kind of had to pull back on some of the things that we had planned, but we hope next quarter we start to pick up on events, and hopefully next year when things, hopefully fingers crossed, get better, we're able to do more social things. In the past, pre-pandemic, we would have like barbecues, Daniel would cook and dress up as a chef. I would see pictures, and he would barbecue for students and faculty and staff, and they would just, you know, be together in person. There's a parents and family office. Great. Thank you, Cheryl.
Absolutely. And Danya, we would be happy to partner with you if you all would like to have special programming and webinars. We do them on a monthly basis. And the website that I just gave are resources for all parents and families.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll definitely share that with them as well. Any other questions? I guess I want to ask Hocin and Dahlia a question. What makes for you all, what has been like a great ally for you all, or what do you think attracts you to someone who you're like, okay, this is a really good ally?
I would say like a little bit of what you touched earlier, how just having like what's it called, like a sign or something in their office or a little button. I remember in community college, I had a professor, like a biology professor, and he would carry out the little butterfly pin every day. He would wear it, and oh my god, it touched my heart. But yeah, little things like that really make a difference, especially like, oh, I don't know of how my professor feels, and it just makes him a little bit better for me to approach anybody. If I see some type of little symbol, then I'm like, oh, thank you. Like that means a lot.
Yeah, those symbols are really important. I feel like in my experiences, the best allies that I've met have always come from very unexpected places, because like as someone with like a strange immigration status, I feel like there are always like a lot of documents I have to give people, and like they don't understand it. And like if I'm trying to work or if I'm trying to prove my residency, and sometimes I'll be emailing like the residence deputy or something, and they'd just be so kind about like maybe the fact that I can't get a hold of USCIS or something. Like I would email them and be like, oh, I'm sorry, this documentation is late. Maybe I can give it to you as soon as I hear back. And then they say something like, oh, it's okay. I like understand your situation. Just I'll give you a couple months to do this and just send it to me whenever it's ready. It's always like random strangers like that who are so understanding of like how hard it is to navigate the immigration system. So yeah.
That's great. And just adding to what Dalia said, it's really funny how like the monarch butterfly, or the butterfly, right? We even have it in our own logo. Is so powerful, and as undocumented folks or individuals in the undocumented population or have been part of it, we can see that butterfly and automatically like feel a sense of like relief and connection to that person. And it's just a butterfly, right? But it has such a powerful message behind it. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because that could be such a simple thing to do, which is just have an image of something that can really impact the community and show them that they're safe within your space. Any other questions? There's a question in the chat. I will give you all the the space to answer that as the students yourself.
I guess what I think 3 top things that undocumented students need, I would say obviously like immigration support, as well as counseling support, just because there's a lot going on and a lot of things affect us aside from like academics and finances. Like you have policies, and then like you have people around you, and there's just a lot that goes on. And then I would say professional development. I think this is a big one, because most of us are first gen and we're just navigating school. We don't really know what's going to happen afterwards, and we're all trying to figure out. So I would say professional help, because like school is a small part of our lives, and then after that we become professionals, and I think that's the hardest thing. So I would say those 3 things are what we need.
Yeah, I agree with Dahlia, but also I liked how in Diane's presentation she said that like undocumented students are often have like a lot of other intersectional identities that impact them. So it's also important to give like, I think like financial support a lot of the time, especially right now during the pandemic. I moderate the Yes Food program, and I see like people's comments about how the Yes Food program has impacted them. And I think having that like holistic financial support is also just so important.
I think something that I've seen for undocumented students, I think representation in that's not the right word, representation, support from individuals outside of just undoc. I think sometimes we'll have students that come in and we'll say, oh, they told me to come here, and we'll tell them, well, the situation that we're trying to help you has nothing to do with things that we can cover, right? That's something that somebody within your major has to help you with, or right, but they just send the student to us because all they heard was undocumented, and then they say, okay, go to undocumented student services, and then the student feels like they're just being kind of given to us, and then we're the only ones that now can support them. So I think it's just important to also stay informed. That way they don't feel like the only folks that can support them are us. I think it's so powerful when students say, oh, I got a lot of information from my college advisor or my advisor in my major, but they told me to just get even more info from you all. But I loved what they shared, and I'm going to continue working with them, right? That they see that there's support for them within like the aspect of their status all over campus. It's not just us. So I think that's really important, and something that I think students really need is just many folks around campus supporting them and advocating for them in different ways. You're welcome. Anything else you all want to share? And sorry. And so for some folks that came in later, I guess I can just introduce myself again. So I'm Diane Casinera Munoz. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm the program coordinator for Undocumented Student Services here at UCSD. My counterpart is Daniel Alfaro. He is the program manager. And then our immigration attorney, Andres, he oversees supporting our students with any legal services needs. And he does that free of charge, which is kind of what Hocin said, that financial aspect of supporting students in many different things holistically really makes a really great impact positively to our students. So that's a little bit about our team. And if anybody would like to email me to collaborate in any way, I would love to do so. I'm going to put my email on the chat. Awesome. And thank you, Monica, for sharing that. And I know, I guess I'll just leave y'all with this. Oh yeah, Triton Connect. Yeah, that's great. We love to have individuals, alumni, or just folks in the community to share their experiences navigating, obtaining their first job. I think, like Dahlia mentioned, professional development and that next step after you graduate from UCSD can be very scary for our students. So if they have that network and folks that they can connect with, I know that's really, really powerful for them. So anybody willing to connect with me, we have a lot of students who are graduating soon and are looking for jobs. And, you know, sometimes they're like, read my resume, I'm going into tech. And I'm like, I don't even know what the perfect resume for someone in tech looks like. So connecting you all with them, I think could be so beneficial. So would love to do that with you all. Great. Thank you, thank you. You talked about professional development. What type of professional development are you looking for? So we have a professional development program called PACE, where our undocumented students at UCSD are able to do a learning opportunity with the campus department on campus. And the person kind of overseeing them throughout that learning opportunity is their mentor. So it's really great because they have a mentor, they're able to, you know, obtain something that they can add to their resume through that learning opportunity. And we also actually compensate them for their time through a scholarship. So we support them financially and also with that professional development aspect. But our students within that program, we kind of support them with not only their success at UCSD, but their next step. We kind of create a, it's called an individual professional development plan. And we kind of talk to them about, okay, where do you see yourself once you graduate? And then they tell us, and then a lot of the times they have like 2 different things that they want to do. And they're like, I just want to learn more about it. And we don't know. So we could connect them with you all or anyone in that field. I think that could be really powerful. And we literally just had actually a workshop about networking and the importance of networking and how it's not really what degree you have, but who you know. And a lot of our students are like, okay, but where do I start? Especially after the pandemic, like everything's virtual, I haven't met anyone. So if we're able to make those connections for them, that would be amazing. Amazing. I'm a mentor. Yeah, I've learned about a little bit more about Triton Connect. So I've only been at UCSD for almost a year now, and I've been encouraging our students to do Triton Connect. I'm Amy, so I'll definitely reach out to you. And maybe we can collaborate in some way. Any other questions?
Diane, I was wondering if you could talk a little more about your experience in Utah versus in San Diego, like both
Yeah.
like in the job and as a student.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I did my undergrad in the state of Utah, and I also went to high school there. I lived there for almost 10 years. And I previously lived in California. And overall, that experience was very unique and really interesting because in California, all of my friends were immigrants, their parents were immigrants, and that was very normal. And then when I moved to Utah, I was one of the only immigrants in my whole school, and I felt very isolated, but I always had the goal to go to higher ed. And I knew that regardless of what my status was, I was going to obtain a degree that I wanted. But yeah, it was really difficult to navigate myself through higher education because many folks didn't know or understand what an undocumented student even was and how to support them to get to their goals. And again, it's just because of the lack of training, and the conversations weren't as common as they are today, which is why I'm so grateful and I love doing things like this, because a lot of folks don't know, right, about different individuals and different populations and how to support them. So yeah, it was really difficult. And that's why I love seeing the work that's being done at UCSD and all the UC schools that have undocumented resource centers, because you can see in the numbers of the amount of students that are graduating and obtaining their degrees a lot easier without debt in comparison to the state of Utah, where many students don't make it even after their first year. because there's not that much financial support or support in general, right? And that has to do a lot with like the policies that are in place in that state, and also institutional policies. So day and night, right, in the experience. And I hope that one day, not just the state of Utah, but our entire country is progressive in the ways that we support our students who are undocumented, and that every college has an undocumented resource center, because they're very, very impactful for our students. And just being able to have a space on campus where they feel safe and they can candidly just share things that they're going through on a day-to-day is really, really powerful. Thank you for that question, Hocin. Totally. Life mentors, coaches can be helpful too. So reconnecting with high school teachers, church members. Yeah, completely agree. Okay, well, I think if there's not any more questions, we can wrap up a little bit early. Thank you again, Dahlia and Hocin, for joining me today. I hope everyone that was able to join us was able to learn a little bit more about the undocumented experience and documented students' experiences. And I hope this encourages you all to do more trainings, learn more, and become an Undocu ally, because it's much needed, especially in these moments.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.